Hello everybody, my name is Kristof Pacura from London Sassoon Academy. First of all, I would like to say massive thank you to the Hair Tribe for inviting me to participate in this really cool project. We are on the epic location in the top of the building in the heart of central London. Let me introduce you my lovely model, Flora. Flora, she's been pre-colored by Stuart Ross, our creative director, color creative director from our Sassoon Academy. And what I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna take you through the haircut. The idea for the haircut is sort of low side parting, quite androgyny, sort of quite short fitted into the bone structure. In the interest of time, what you can see, I've worked with the section from the sort of 3/4 of the eyebrows into the crown, and I've cut it with the round graduation starting from the front, working into the back, just using a slide of a direction as you're passing the widest point of the bone structure just to compensate for the roundness of the head. And then just using very kind of classic barbering skills, working with a jumbo comb to begin with, and then just slightly fading with the thinner combs to create this beautiful silhouette. I've got this little detail around the front hairline. You can see just kind of left it out slightly to maintain slightly softer feel into the quite, sort of dramatic shape. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna cut the fringe, which is gonna sort of open the cheekbones and really enhance her beautiful bone structure, and work kind of backwards into that graduation for the back. And then I'm gonna work a little bit internally just to create some nice internal movement. So this is kind of the plan for the haircut. So first of all, taking the first section parallel to the front hairline. And when I put the fringe, I'm just kind of trying to feel the flow of the waistline and how that's gonna run into that nice geometric frame around the face. So I'm just taking the second section parallel to the first one and just combing it over, cutting on the same guideline. And just allowing my body to travel around, which kind of, in a very nice way, it allows me to create something which is more open in the corners. So that's going to bring a little bit more sort of emphasis to the cheekbones. So now the next thing I'm gonna do, just elevate that section up and working from the existing length in the corner, layer it out. And the subsequent section is going to be cut down again with very low elevation, joining back into my external shape. Keeping my tension very consistent. As you notice, I'm cutting this line with my fingers, which creates a little bit of the graduated effect. If you think about the line is, for me, is the heaviest form of graduation because the weight builds up in one place all the time. If you cut the line this way, like in the very kind of low tension, what's happened? There is a lot of weight sitting in that kind of edge. But when you cut it with the fingers, with a little bit more elevation, what's happened? The line starts to bevel, so it kind of sits a lot more sensitive against the forehead. So I quite like that as a little tip when you're cutting the fringes. The next step, what I'm going to do, I'm kind of coming back to the position behind my model, and then just using again the external line as my guideline, removing the weight from inside. So you can see it just creates kind of like a nice softer feeling into the edge. So if I was going to elevate that section now, it creates like a disconnected kind of panel running through, which takes the weight out and makes the line feeling a lot slimmer. The next thing I'm gonna do is taking the curved section from the temple area back into the crown. And you can see me, when I'm taking the section, I'm using the wide side of the comb with the separate tooth, which really helps me to take a really nice and clean section. But then when I'm combing the head down, I'm using the small size, which is the small size of the comb, which gives you more tension when you're cutting. This is something really nice where you can sort of learn from it. Again, I would use the small sides of the comb just to control the tension. And pretty much using the corner of the fringe as my guideline, I'm just going to start working backwards and elevating sort of the hair more and more as I move back. And then that allows me to connect back with the crown. Whenever you cut hair, what is quite important is to keep watering the hair. to allow the same amount of tension within the whole haircut. And then the subsequent section is elevated slightly higher, and I'm blending this into my graduation. Kind of low elevation in the front, and as I go backwards, I'm elevating higher and higher. How's your face looking? Yes, not too bad actually. So the next step I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just elevate that section up. And just take that corner off. Again, to kind of relax this graduation and create more of a beveled feel. So when this falls down, it kind of blends into the graduation. I've cut like that 2 sections, then just slightly lift it up, taking the corner off from interior. And what I'm gonna do now, which I think is quite cool. So what you've got left is this kind of triangle section inside. And obviously we've got the low side parting. So when the hair is dry to the side, when it's worn with a side parting, you wanna maintain sort of the maximum length from this side, allowing the hair to be kind of wrapped to this side. So what I'm gonna do, taking section across the head, and then just using the guideline from my graduation, just right in there, and cutting into the longer length. So if you imagine if the hair falls, that's going to maintain the length to this side. The subsequent section is taken parallel, directed slightly back, just cross-checking how that shape progresses internally. And then I'm gonna direct this backwards. Kind of to the ear level, which allows more length from the front to overlap the previously established fringe. working outside of my fingers with a lot of tension. I have to say that I'm very lucky to be part of Sassoon Academy. I think it's such an honor to to be part of the team and to be able to work with such incredible sort of people on a daily basis. And I think it's one of the places like when we're constantly thinking about the hair, we're like constantly trying to find like another way how you can approach the hair. And what was quite interesting recently, what we've been doing a lot, is kind of having obviously the geometric approach, which is the sort of heritage from Sassoon, the man who had the vision, but obviously taking into kind of almost like another level to be able to create something, I suppose, something which is follow the fashion, follow the clientele today, follow the modern lifestyle. So we've been having this very kind of geometric approach to the hair, but very often we create something which is quite soft and it's got a lot of emotions. So it kind of attracts me, that kind of idea of, again, geometric approach, but soft feeling. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna dry the hair, put the nice finish to it, and I'm gonna start refining in the second stage of the haircut. So in the interest of time, I just blow dry Flora's hair. And what I'm gonna do now, just to work with a little bit of the refining, the first stage I'm gonna be working with is the giving some details into the fringe area. So this is really cool technique, what I've been doing quite a lot recently. Just when you cut the hair, tap with the back of your hand where the hairline is, and that obviously is pushing the head down, so creates a little bit more tension. And then what I'm gonna do, just kind of giving a little bit of the edge, a little bit of the sort of detail into that fringe. So obviously once you press the head down, it kind of creates the tension, but then when it jumps back, it creates like a nice sort of graduated feel. And really, I think this part of the haircut is quite difficult to teach in general, because it's kind of like you want to assess the shape visually. You want to kind of look on the bigger image of your model and thinking, okay, what else I can do. So I really do love watching people kind of when they're putting the final kind of signature into the haircut. And obviously it's very individual. What my eyes can see, it's different what you eyes can see. So I suppose what I would recommend, try to step back from the haircut, see the bigger image, and then see the elements you want to kind of improve or sort of detail. So I'm going to be using quite a few freehand techniques for that stage. So that's my first fringe underneath. quite like the shape, how it kind of runs through it. And then just the disconnected area, I'm going to allow it to fall over. Just comb it to the side. Again, pressing with my hand with the hairline, and I want to maintain this length, kind of the longer length on the left side, and just work back kind of into my line. Okay, the next part I'm gonna do just using the pointing technique and cutting small amounts of hair from that weight line, just to create a little bit of space in between the hair. So I'm not really changing my technique, I'm just enhancing it. So what you do, you kind of work with the thumb and I always try to say, like, imagine you want to cut one hair at a time. So it just allows you to kind of soften that edge, so it kind of bevels. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of the shine spray just to kind of enhance the look. I think it's just quite exciting to see, you know, the haircut, which kind of can be dressed again in a sort of various ways. So, you know, I hope you kind of like that idea. So what we have done today, working with the short kind of bowish look with a low side parting. When I start my haircut from, obviously what I've pre-cut, it was the run graduation from the front into the back, then working with a quite tight scissor over the comb, but taking it short but not too aggressive, just to maintaining that sort of sensitivity when you control the length. And then the top, what I did, work from the section parallel to the front hairline, kind of cut the line to it, cut the square fringe, then I've layered it out, then I cut another line onto the fringe, and then just graduating from the line, from the lower elevation into the crown to the higher elevation, a couple of sections again, and then I've layered it out slightly internally, and then the top was cut from short into long, just maintaining the longer length on the parting side, and just over directing back to create this kind of little overlap, which gives like a really nice kind of detail to your look. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure.